Ouija. Do it for Yorkshire!
In the bacon, fat, in the bacon, fat, all tastes like bacon, fat, and it all tastes like bacon, in the bacon, in the bacon, fat, in the bacon, fat, all tastes like bacon, and then you put all tastes like bacon, the mince.
Why are you putting mince?
Because then you've got the girth, that's what you're not getting. That's what you're not getting, Sam. This is what I mean. You've got the girth, that's what you're not getting. That's what you're not getting, Sam. This is what I mean.
Hello. How are we doing, my beautiful queechlings? It's fucking Wednesday. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. But it's time for a queechy bedtime story. How are we all doing? Oh, I've got my dressing gown on. I got myself a cup of tea. Got my slippers on. Got my dressing gown on. You know what I mean? I was like, we're getting comfy. We're getting super comfy. Make sure the music's working. There we go. We got some music. Lovely. So, how is everybody's week going? We're halfway through the working week. So how are you all doing? Let's see who we've got in the chat. We have got Jenkins, Martin, Raptor Wash, Eggy, and Owen. How are we all doing? Owen, you're buzzing for it, is it? Beardy. He's changed his name. He's grown his beard back. He's a new man. Some say that he's more beard now than man. The beard is back. The beard is back, people. Ladies and gentlemen, the beard is back. His hairy face has once again returned. Mine's getting more hairless Every time I trim my beard, I'm trimming it shorter. But I noticed I left my fucking mustache longer. Even though I shaved it all on the same setting, my mustache stayed longer. I don't know why that is. Unless my mustache just grows faster than the rest of my facial hair, which might be true. Mustache gang. Poopash. Half man, half beard. My face telling me to grow a handlebar. I think my mustache grows faster than the rest of my beard. I think that's what it must be. Because I had it all on the same guard. Because when I trim it, I just put a guard on, and then whoop, like just so it's all the same length. And then today I was like, I got a fucking mustache. I mean, mustache longer than the rest of my beard. So my mustache, my lip hair must grow at a faster rate than the rest. A blessing and a curse. But one that I will shoulder the burden of the day I die. Hairy lip or no. My face telling me to grow a handlebar. What, like fucking... like Hollywood Hulk Hogan? What you gonna do? Breaking news. Man with facial hair is surprised to learn he has a mustache. Yeah, but I meant like... Because usually it's all the same, innit? Like, do you know what I mean? But now I have a prominent mustache. So then that's when it's like... That's when it becomes a mustache and not just part of your beard. You know what I mean? And it is separate from the rest of the facial hair. My powerful lip hairs. I'm rocking it, though. Let's see where this hairy lip rabbit hole goes. You've got a mustache. I know. Bully in a posh... Bully! Oh, bully! Like that. Wash. Embrace the mustache. Become Tom Selleck. Become your final form. Tom of House Selleck. They're not two distinct entities. They are now. They are now, but they weren't. Before, they were a team. And now they're rivals. Engaged in a turf war. The domination of one man's face. Bucky? Fucking hell, you can tell you're Scottish, can't you, Eggy? Can't even spell bully without putting Bucky. Bukaki. Just start shouting that. Just start shouting that whenever I'm surprised. Or impressed. Just be like, Bukaki. We should just start trying to make that like an actual term. Not for that, but like for like, oh shit. You just go, Bukaki. Whenever you're surprised. That's a great idea. What do you mean? That's a great idea. Just start shouting it. Oh, you mean actually get one on your lip? No, I'm not. Miss me with that shit. Like literally miss me with that shit. Don't hit me with it. Be sad. Got my slippers on. My slippers are hairy. Nearly as hairy as my lip. We all have a past. Well, we've all got a past. So, I've spent the afternoon, my afternoon. Well, Scarlett's been off school because she wasn't well today. So she's been upstairs, just laying in bed, like trying to get better, watching telly. And I've been down here squirreling away, on some new t-shirt designs. But I'm not going to release them yet. But they're fucking well good. They're well good. They're well good. So, what I might do is, if we hit 300 subs, I'll release them all. If we hit 300 subs before the end of this month, I'll release them all. I'll just drop them all. They're cool though. If you like that last one, that Slam King one, that death metal one, you'll like these. Bury tomorrow. Do you know what, right? You know when you said bury tomorrow then? I thought you meant a store in Bury called Tomorrow. I thought you were talking about a shop in Bury called the Tomorrow Store. Fucking hell. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the one right next to Cash Generator around the corner from Primark. You know the Tomorrow Store? The one on Market Street in Bury. See? Take the man out of the north, but you can't take north out of the man. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I've took to, right? So I used to just get like, because I'm a creature of like specific habits. Like I've said this before. So I'll have like the same items of clothing because I won't like, because I don't want to wear anything else. So I'll just get the same ones. So I've got like multiple pairs of red camo pants, and then I've got multiple pairs of blue camo pants, and multiple pairs of like black sweatpants, because they're the only things that I'll wear. Right? And I used to get like all my sweatpants and shit from Primark. But then Jane and Scarlett got that fucking Shein, whatever it is, that fucking app. Anyway, it's like fucking Temu or whatever. And now I just get all my camo pants from there. Takes a few weeks for them to come, but I can just get like 5 sets of camos, all exactly the same, all in different colours. How bad is that though? I'm like fucking Homer Simpson. Do you know what I mean? Just always wearing the same outfit all the time. The only thing that changes is I might wear red camos, so then I'll wear me red and white and black trainers, and then I'll have a t-shirt that's got a red logo on it. Or if I wear my blue camos, I'll wear my blue Nikes. And I'll have a t-shirt that has a blue logo on it. What's that about? I'm like dressed like a Power Ranger all the time. So weird. Owen, I've started buying women's jumpers from there. For what? To sniff? You sniffing them? What's going on there? Don't be buying women's clothing to sniff, Owen. You're not supposed to do that. Oh, bloody hell. Where you donkey? What's a donkey? Is that like a new type of bag? I'm not up with the latest fashions, Owen. You know what I mean? I didn't know you could buy them off Shein. Was watching some stream yesterday, and some guy casually gave the streamer 1,100 subs. That's fucking insanity. That's insanity, innit? Jesus Christ, like how much is that? Well, 1,000 would be... So 1,000 would be $5,000, and then 100 would be 500. So that's $5,500 he just dropped on that guy's stream. That's crazy. That's wild. That's so crazy. It's so mad. But look, some people have got money, dude, and if it's like, if it's something that they love and it's a creator or a streamer that they love and they want to support them, then they'll do it, won't they? Do you know what I mean? Some people just, money like that's like a $5 to a minute. Do you know what I mean? So it's still fucking crazy though. To me, that's like nuts. Do you know what I mean? Wild. Fucking wild. Eggy, need to get Slam King sweatpants. I can look at that. I could definitely look at that. That'd probably be cool to do. I don't know how much they'd be though. I can't see them being much. Those sweatpants. It's just a print on it, innit? I imagine it'd be the same. They'll be the same as a fucking hoodie, won't they? Made out of the same shit. Right, should we get reading? Should we get reading, guys? So, do you remember where we were up to? I know Owen does, because he fucking watched it last night. Read it last night, didn't you? Oh, Horus. Horus. He's in trouble, mate. He's in fucking trouble. Up shit creek. With a paddle made of jizz. As the old saying goes, I don't really know what that means. It's something my grandma used to say. Well, you know. I am so comfy right now, you know. I like proper comfy. Got me sweats on. Got me slippers on. Got me cup of tea. Got me backup cup of tea as well. Got a backup cup of tea. Don't worry about that. Ooh. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right. Oh, I will take that down though, because I will get too warm, especially with drinking a cup of tea as well. You know. Right, finish me brew. Ready? Finish brew number 1. Tell you what else I'll do as well. If we hit 300 before the end of this month, we'll do a Jackbox game night. Subscribers only one. Because I'll get one of the Jackbox games, and then we can literally all play together. Because you don't need anything for that, you just need a phone. But yeah, we can do that. And we can either do it live on stream, or we can do it in the Discord, whatever you guys prefer. I don't really care. Makes no difference to me. Oh, a wash. Do you not know what Jackbox is? Right, so it's like these party games. So you'll have Jackbox on. So I'll get Jackbox, and I'll have it on my PC. And then I'll stream the screen, and we'll pick a game, because it has like multiple games on it. And then what it'll have is, it'll have a code, like a 4-digit code on the screen. And then with your phone, you just go to jackbox.tv and put that code in, and it'll put you into the room on your phone. Into the game, like, lobby. And then the games are like stuff like Pictionary and word games and like drawing games and shit like that, basically. And then you all play against each other. But you all have to vote for whose answers were the best and stuff like that. It's well good. Hey, Megan, how you doing? So, yeah, I'm thinking... Well, I can't even... What are we on? We're on 283. So if we get another 17, we'll do another fucking sub goal reward. That same month. Because fuck it, why not? And it'll be fun, and we'll just do it. Subscribers. But yeah, it's fucking ace. Like, Jackbox is well good. And all you guys will need is your phone. That's it. You might not even need a phone. You might be able to do it on a PC. I don't know. I think you just need to be able to get to the website. But there's like 10 different ones. There's 10 different Jackboxes. Like 10 different editions of Jackbox, and they've all got different games on it. They're fucking cool. Right. Oh, Megan's got to pop back out in a minute, but she'll be back hopefully in time. Well, we're going to start in a second. Find out what happened to fucking Horus. Because he's been jabbed with the poo knife! Right, is the background music okay? Is it too loud, too quiet? Let me know. As we shall start. Do you know what? I should probably pour my fucking secondary tea now, aren't I? It's good. Sweet. Okay, sweet. Cool. Jabbed with the poo knife. That's literally what's happened though, isn't it? Yeah. Pouring this tea now was a great idea because it's hotter than the fucking sun. That's the only problem with this flask thing. Keeps it too hot. Too hot for my liking. All right, then. Shall we proceed? Are you all sitting comfortably? Okay, so False Gods by Graham McNeill. Chapter 9. Silver Towers. A bloody return. The veil grows thin. From here, he could see the pyramid roof of the Athenaeum, the low evening sun reflecting on its gold panels as if it were ablaze. And even though Magnus knew he used but a colourful metaphor, the very idea gave him a pang of loss. To imagine that vast repository of knowledge lost in the flames was abhorrent, and he turned his cyclopean gaze from the pyramid of crystal, glass, and gold. Tizca, the so-called City of Light, stretched out before him, its marble colonnades and wide boulevards tree-lined and peaceful. Soaring towers of silver and gold reared above a city of gilded libraries, arched museums, and sprawling seats of learning. The bulk of the city was constructed of white marble and gold-veined auslight, shining like a bejeweled crown in the sun. Its architecture spoke of a time long past, buildings shaped by craftsmen who had honed their trades for centuries under the tutelage of the Thousand Suns. From his balcony, on the Pyramid of Photep, Magnus the Red, Primarch of the Thousand Suns, contemplated the future of Prospero. His head still hurt from the ferocity of the nightmare, and his eye throbbed painfully in its enlarged socket. He gripped the marble balustrade of the balcony, trying to wish away the visions that assailed him in the night and now chased him into the daylight. Mysteries of the night were revealed in the light of day, but these visions of darkness could not be dragged so easily. For as long as Magnus could remember, he had been cursed and blessed with a measure of foresight, and his allegorical interpretation of the Athenaeum ablaze troubled him more than he liked to admit. He poured himself some wine from a silver pitcher, rubbing a copper-skinned hand through his mane of fiery red hair. The wine helped dull the ache in his heart as well as his head, but he knew it was only a temporary solution. Events were now in motion that he had the power to shape, and though much of what he had seen was madness and turmoil and made no sense, he could make out enough to know that he had to make a decision soon, before events spiraled out of control. Magnus turned from the view over Tizca and made his way back inside the pyramid, pausing as he caught sight of his reflection in the gleaming silver panels. Huge and red-skinned, Magnus was a towering giant with a lustrous mane of red hair. His patrician features were noble and just, his single eye golden and flecked with crimson. Where his other eye would have sat was blank and empty, though a thin scar ran from the bridge of his nose to the edge of his cheekbone. Cyclopean Magnus, they called him, or worse. Since their inception, the Thousand Sons had been viewed with suspicion for embracing powers that others were afraid of. Powers that, because they were not understood, were rejected as being somehow unclean. Rejected ever since the Council of Nicaea. Magnus threw down his goblet, angry at the memory of his humbling at the feet of the Emperor, when he had been forced to renounce the study of all things sorcerous for fear of what he might learn. Such a notion was surely ridiculous, for was his father's realm not founded on the pursuit of knowledge and reason? What harm could study and learning do? Though he had retreated to Prospero and sworn to renounce such pursuits, the planet of the sorcerers had one vital attribute that made it the perfect place for such studies. It was far from the prying eyes of those who said he dabbled with powers beyond his control. Magnus smiled at the thought, wishing he could show his persecutors the things he had seen, the wonders and the beauty of what lived beyond the veil of reality. Notions of good and evil fell by the wayside next to such power as dwelled in the warp. They were the antiquated concepts of a religious society, long cast aside. He stooped to retrieve his goblet and filled it once more before returning to his chambers and taking a seat at his desk. Inside it was cool, and the scent of various inks and parchments made him smile. The wide chamber was walled with bookshelves and glass cabinets, filled with curios and remnants of lost knowledge gleaned from conquered worlds. Magnus himself had penned many of the texts in this room, though others had contributed to his most personal of libraries. Osis Takar, Ahriman, and Uthizar, to name but a few. Knowledge had always been a refuge for Magnus, the intoxicating thrill of rendering the unknown down to its constituent parts and, by doing so, rendering it knowable. Ignorance of the universe's workings had created false gods in man's ancient past, and the understanding of them was calculated to destroy them. Such was Magnus's lofty goal. His father denied such things, kept his people ignorant of the true powers that existed in the galaxy, and though he promulgated a doctrine of science and reason, it was naught but a lie, a comforting blanket thrown over humanity to shield them from the truth. Magnus had looked deep into the warp, however, and he knew different. He closed his eye, seeing again the darkness of the corrupt chamber, the glitter sheen of the sword and the blow that would change the fate of the galaxy. He saw death and betrayal, heroes and monsters. He saw loyalty tested and found wanting and standing firm in equal measure. Terrible fates awaited his brothers and, worst of all, he knew that his father was utterly ignorant of the doom that threatened the galaxy. A soft knocking came at his door, and the red-armoured figure of Ahriman entered, holding before him a long staff topped with a single eye. "Have you decided yet, my lord?" asked his chief librarian, without preamble.
I have, my friend,
said Magnus.
"Then I shall gather the coven."
"Yes," sighed Magnus.
"In the catacombs beneath the city, order the thralls to assemble the conjunction, and I shall be with you presently."
"As you wish, my lord," said Ahriman.
"Something troubles you?"
asked Magnus, detecting an edge of reticence in his old friend's tone.
No, my lord. It is not my place to say. Nonsense. If you have a concern, then I give you leave to voice it.
Then I may speak freely.
Of course,
Nodded Magnus.
What troubles you?
Ahriman hesitated before answering.
This spell you propose is dangerous. Very dangerous. None of us truly understand its subtleties, and there may be consequences yet we do not foresee.
Magnus laughed.
I've not known you shirk from the power of a spell before, Ahriman. When manipulating power of this magnitude, there will always be unknowns. But only by wielding it can we bring it to heel. Never forget that we are the masters of the warp, my friend. It is strong, yes, and great power lives within it. But we have the knowledge and the means to bend it to our will, do we not? We do, my lord, agreed Ahriman. Why then do we use it to warn the Emperor of what is to come, when he has forbidden us to pursue such matters?
Magnus rose from his seat, his copper skin darkening in anger.
Because when my father sees that it is our sorcery that has saved his realm, he will not be able to deny that what we do here is important, nay, vital, to the Imperium's survival.
Ahriman nodded, fearful of his Primarch's rage, and Magnus softened his tone.
There is no other way, my friend. The Emperor's palace is warded against the power of the warp, and only a conjuration of such power will breach those wards.
Then I will gather the coven immediately, said Ahriman.
Yes, gather them. But await my arrival before beginning. Horus may yet surprise us.
New character alert. Panic, fear, indecision. Three emotions previously unknown to Loken seized him as Horus fell. The War Master crashed to the ground in slow motion, splashing into the mud as his body went completely limp. Shouts of alarm went up, but a paralysis of inaction held those closest to the War Master tightly in its grip, as though time itself had slowed. Loken stared at the War Master, lying on the ground before him, inert, corpse-like, unable to believe what he was seeing. The rest of the Mournival stood similarly immobile, rooted to the spot in disbelief. He felt as though the air had become thick and cloying, the cries of fear that spread outwards echoing and distant as though from a hollow picture running too slow. Only Petronella Vivar seemed unaffected by the inaction that held Loken and his brothers firm. Down on her knees in the mud next to the War Master, she was weeping and wailing at him to get back up again. The knowledge that his commander was down and a mortal woman had reacted before any of the sons of Horus shamed Loken into action, and he dropped to one knee alongside the fallen Horus.
"Apothecary!"
shouted Loken, and the time snapped back with a crash of shouts and cries. The Mournival dropped to the ground beside him.
What's wrong?"
demanded Abaddon.
"Commander!"
shouted Torgadon.
"Lupercal!"
cried Aximand. Loken ignored them and forced himself to focus. This is a battlefield injury, and I will treat it as such, he thought.
You're blown away by them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers, babe. Appreciate that. Babe. Make sure that living room. Cheers. Oh, look at that. Well, the Slam Kings just brought me in. Slam Queens just brought me in. Fucking bow buns.
Bow, bow. Bow, bow. Chicka, chicka, chicka. Shit, one sec. Don't want me wires going in me bow buns. Bow, bow. Bow, bow. Right, okay. It's enough of bow, bow. Loken ignored them and forced himself to focus. This is a battlefield injury, and I will treat it as such, he thought. He scanned the War Master's body as the others put their hands on him, pushing the Remembrancer out of the way as each struggled to wake their lord and master. Too many hands were interfering, and Loken yelled, "Stop! Get back!" The War Master's armour was beaten and torn, but Loken could see no other obvious breaches in the armoured plates, save where the shoulder guard had been torn away, and where the gaping puncture wound oozed in his chest. "Help me get this armour off!" he shouted. The Mournival, bound together as brothers, nodded, and, grateful to have a focus for their efforts, instantly obeyed Loken's command. Within moments, they had removed Horus's breastplate and pauldrons and were unstrapping his remaining shoulder guard. Loken tore off his helmet and cast it aside, pressing his ear to the War Master's chest. He could hear the War Master's hearts, pounding in a deathly slow double beat. "He's still alive!" he cried. "Get out of the way!" shouted a voice behind him, and he turned to rebuke this newcomer before seeing the double helix Caduceus symbol on his armor plates. Another apothecary joined the first, and the Mournival were unceremoniously pushed aside as they went to work, hissing Narthecium stabbing into the War Master's flesh. Loken stood watching them, impotent and helpless as they fought to stabilize the War Master. His eyes filled with tears, and he looked around in vain for something to do. Something to make him feel like he was helping. There was nothing. And he felt like crying out to the heavens for making him so powerful and yet so useless. Abaddon wept openly, and to see the first captain so unmanned made Loken's fear for the War Master all the more terrible. Aximand watched the apothecary's work with a grim stoicism, while Torgadon chewed his bottom lip and prevented the Remembrancer from getting in the way. The War Master's skin was ashen, his lips blue, and his limbs rigid. And Loken knew they must destroy whatever power had felled Horus. He turned and began marching back towards the glory of terror, determined that he would take the stricken craft apart, piece by piece if need be. "Captain!" called one of the apothecaries, a warrior Loken knew as Vadon. "Get a Stormbird here now! We need to get him to the Vengeful Spirit!" Loken stood immobile, torn between his desire for vengeance and his duty to the War Master. "Now, Captain!" yelled the apothecary, and the spell was broken. He nodded dumbly and opened a channel to the captains of the Stormbirds, grateful to have a purpose in his maelstrom of confusion. Within moments, one of the medical craft was inbound, and Loken watched, mesmerized, as the apothecaries fought to save the War Master. He could see from the frantic nature of their ministrations that they were fighting an uphill battle, their Narthecium whirring miniature centrifuges of blood and dispensing patches of sin skin to treat his wounds. Their conversations passed over him, but he caught the odd familiar word here and there. "Laraman cells ineffective. Hypoxic poisoning." Aximand appeared at his side and placed his hand on Loken's shoulder. "Don't say it, little Horus," warned Loken. "I wasn't going to, Garviel," said Aximand. "He'll be all right. There's nothing this place could throw at the War Master that'll keep him down for long." "How do you know?" asked Loken, his voice close to breaking. "Just do. I have faith." "Faith?" "Yeah," answered Aximand. "Faith that the War Master is too strong and too stubborn to be brought low by something like this. Before you know it, we'll be his war dogs once again.
Loken nodded as the howling downdraft of a stormbird snatched his breath away. The screaming craft hovered overhead, throwing up sheets of water as it circled on its descent. Landing skids deployed and the craft came down amid a spray of muddy water. Before it had touched down, the Mournival and the apothecaries had lifted Horus between them. Even as the assault ramp came down, they were rushing inside, placing the War Master on one of the gurneys as the Stormbird's jets fired to lift it from Davin's moon. The assault ramp clanged shut behind them, and Loken felt the aircraft lurch as the pilot aimed it for the skies. The apothecaries hooked the War Master up to Medicae machines, jamming needles and hissing tubes into his arms, placing a feed line of oxygen over his mouth and nose. Suddenly superfluous, Loken slumped into one of the armoured bucket seats against the fuselage of the aircraft and held his head in his hands. Across from him, the Mournival did the same. Oh shit. Oh fucking hell. They are good. Oh. Well, well, well. Not looking good, is it? Not looking good at all. Want to get reading, don't I? It's alright, I've still got another 5 left. To say that Ignace Carcasi was not a happy man was an understatement. His lunch was cold, Mercediolaton was late, and the wine he was drinking wasn't fit to lubricate the gears of an engine. And to top it all off, his pen tapped on the thick paper of the Bondsman No. 7 without any inspiration flowing. He'd taken to avoiding the retreat, partly for fear of running into Wendwin again, but mostly because it just depressed him too much. The vandalism done to the bar lent it an incredibly sad and gloomy aspect, and while some of the remembrances needed the squalor to inspire their work, Carcasi wasn't one of them. Instead, he relaxed in the subdeck where most of the remembrances gathered for their meals, but which was empty for the better part of the day. The solitude was helping him to deal with all that had happened since he'd challenged Euphrates Keeler about her distributing the Laetitio Divinatus pamphlets, though it certainly wasn't helping him compose any poetry. She'd been unrepentant when he'd confronted her, urging him to join her in prayer to the God Emperor before some kind of makeshift shrine. "I can't," he had said. "Ridiculous, Euphrates. Can't you see that?" "What's so ridiculous about it, Ig?" he'd asked. "Think about it. We've embarked upon the greatest crusade known to man. Crusade! A war motivated by religious beliefs." "No, no," he protested. "Not that at all. We'd moved beyond the need for the crutch of religion, Euphrates, and we didn't set out from terror to take a step backwards into such outmoded concepts of belief. Only by dispelling the clouds and superstitions of religion and we discover truth, reason, and morality." "Not a superstition to believe in a god, Ignace," said Euphrates, holding out another of the Laetitio Divinatus pamphlets. "Look, read this, and then make up your mind." "No need to read it," he snapped, throwing the pamphlet to the desk. I know what it'll say, and I'm not interested." "But you have no idea, Ignace. It's all so clear to me now. Ever since that thing attacked me, I've been hiding. In my billet, in my bed, in my head. I realise now that all I had to do was allow the light of the Emperor into my heart, and I'd be healed." "Didn't Mercedes and I have anything to do with that?" sneered Carcasi. "All those hours we spent with you weeping on our shoulders?" "Of course you did," smiled Euphrates, coming forward and placing her hands on his cheeks. I wanted to give you the message and tell you what I'd realized. Very simple, Ignis. We create our own gods, and the Blessed Emperor is the master of mankind.
Create our own gods, said Carcasey, pulling away from her. No, my dear. Ignorance and fear create the gods. Enthusiasm and deceit adorn them, and human weakness worships them. Been the same throughout history. When men destroy their old gods, they find new ones to take their place. What makes you think that this is any different?
Because I feel the Emperor's light within me.
Oh, well, can't argue with that, can I?
Spare me your sarcasm, Ignis, said Euphrates, suddenly hostile. I thought you might be open to hearing the good word, but I can see you're just a close-minded fool. Get out, Ignis. I don't want to see you again. Thus dismissed, he'd found himself outside in the companionway alone, bereft of a friend he'd only just managed to make. That had been the last time she'd spoken to him. He'd seen her only once since then, and she ignored his greeting. Lost in thought, Ignis? Asked Mercedes Ollerton, and he looked up in surprise, shaken from his miserable reverie by her sudden appearance.
Sorry, my dear, he said. I didn't hear you approach. I was miles away. Composing another verse for Captain Loken to misunderstand and Cinderman to discard.
She smiled, instantly lifting his spirits. It was impossible to be too maudlin around Mercedes. She had a way of making a man realize that it was good to be alive. Solitude suits you, Ignis. You're far less susceptible to temptation.
I don't know, he said, holding up the bottle of wine. There's always room in my life for temptation. Count it as a bad day if I'm not tempted by something or another.
You're incorrigible, Ignis, he laughed. But enough of that. What's so important that you dragged me away from my transcripts to meet here? I want to be up to date by the time the spear tip gets back from the moon. Flustered by her directness, Carcasey wasn't sure where to begin, and thus opted for the softly approach.
Have you seen Euphrates around recently?
Sorry, yesterday evening, just before the Stormbirds launched. Why?
Did she seem herself?
Yeah, think so. I was a little surprised by the change in her appearance, but she's an imagist. I suppose it's what they do every now and again.
Did she try to give you anything?
Give me anything? No. Look, Ignis, what's this all about? Carcasey slipped a battered pamphlet across the table towards Mercedes, watching her expression change as she read it and recognized it for what it was. Where did you get this? She asked when she'd finished reading it.
Euphrates gave it to me,
he replied.
Apparently she wants to spread the word of the God Emperor to us first because we helped her when she needed support.
God Emperor? Has she taken leave of her senses?
Don't know. Maybe,
he said, pouring himself a drink. Mercedes pushed over a glass and he filled that too.
I don't think she was over her experience in the Whisperheads, even if she made out that she was.
This is insane, said Mercedes. She'll have her certification revoked. Did you tell her that?
Sort of, said Carcasey. I tried to reason with her, but you know how it is with those religious types. Never any room for a dissenting opinion.
And
nothing. Threw me out of her billet after that.
So you handled it with your usual tact, then?
Well, perhaps I could have been more delicate, agreed Carcasey. I was shaken to know that a woman of intelligence could be taken in by such nonsense.
So, what do we do about it?
You tell me. I don't have a clue. Think we should tell someone about Euphrates?
Mercedes took a long drink of the wine and said, I think we have to.
Any idea who?
Cinderman, maybe? Carcasey sighed.
I had a feeling you were going to suggest him. I don't like the man, but he's probably the best bet these days. If anyone could talk you freight around, it's an iterator.
Mercedes sighed and poured another couple of drinks. Want to get drunk?
Now you're talking my language, said Carcasey.
They swapped stories and memories of less complicated times for an hour, finishing the bottle of wine and sending a servitor to fetch more when it ran out. By the time they'd drained half the second one, they were already planning a great symphonic work of her documentarist findings, embellished with his verse. They laughed and studiously avoided any talk of Euphrates Keeler and the betrayal they were soon to visit upon her. Their thoughts were immediately dispelled as chiming alarm bells rang out, and the corridor began to fill with hurrying people. At first, they ignored the noise, but as the number of people grew, they decided to find out what was going on. Picking up the bottle and glasses, Carcasey and Mercedes unsteadily made their way to the hatchway, where they saw a scene of utter bedlam. Soldiers and civilians, remembrancers and ship's crew were heading for the embarkation decks in a hurry. They saw faces streaked with tears and huddled, weeping figures consoling one another in their shared misery.
What's going on?
Shouted Carcasey, grabbing a passing soldier. The man rounded on him angrily.
Get off me, you old fool!
I just want to know what's happening,
said Carcasey, shocked at the man's venom.
Haven't you heard?
Wept the soldier.
It's all over the ship.
What is? Demanded Mercedes.
The War Master.
What about him? Is he all right? The man shook his head.
Emperor save us, but the War Master's dead. Fucking hell. The War Master is dead. Brutal. Brutal, that, innit?
The War Master is dead. Do we continue?
Get out.
I don't like those words in that hard to take them back. I didn't write it. I don't fucking write it, Owen. I'm just reading it.
Not my fucking story. Grim, that, innit?
No. The bottle slipped from Carcasey's hands, shattering on the floor, and he was instantly sober. The War Master, dead. Surely there had to be some kind of mistake. Surely Horus was beyond such concerns as mortality. He faced Mercedes and could see exactly the same thoughts running through her head. The soldier he'd stopped shrugged off his grip and ran down a corridor, leaving the two of them standing there, aghast at such a horrific prospect. "Can't be true," whispered Mercedes. It just can't be.
I know. There must be some mistake.
What if there isn't?
I don't know, said Carcasey. We have to find out more.
Mercedes nodded and waited for him to collect the bondsman before they joined the hurrying throng as it made its mob-like way towards the embarkation decks. Neither of them spoke during the journey, too busy trying to process the impact of the War Master's death. Carcasey felt the muse stir within him at such weighty subject matter and tried not to despise the fact that it came at such a terrible time. He spotted the corridor leading to the observation deck adjacent to the launch port from where Stormbirds could be seen deploying or returning. She resisted his pull until he explained his plan.
There's no way they're going to let us in, said Carcasey, out of breath from his exertions. We can watch the Stormbirds arrive from here, and there's an observation gantry that overlooks the deck itself.
They darted from the human river, making its way to the embarkation deck, and followed the arched corridor that led to the observation deck. Inside the long chamber, the wide-armoured glass wall showed smudges of starlight and the glinting hulls of distant bulk cruisers belonging to the Army and the Mechanicum. Below them was the chasm-like opening of the embarkation deck, its blinking locator lights flashing an angry red. Mercedes dimmed the lighting, and the details beyond the glass became clearer. The yellow-brown swell of Davin's moon curved away from them, its surface grimy and smeared with clouds. A hazy corona of sickly light haloed the moon, and from here, it looked peaceful. "I don't see anything," said Mercedes. Carcasey pressed himself against the glass to eliminate reflections and tried to see something other than himself and Mercedes. Then he saw it, like a glimmering firefly. A distant speck of fire was rising out of the moon's corona and heading towards the vengeful spirit. "There," he said, pointing towards the approaching light. "Where? Oh, wait, I see it," said Mercedes, blink-clicking the image of the approaching craft. Carcasey watched as the light drew nearer, resolving itself into the shape of a speeding Stormbird as it angled its approach to the embarkation deck. Even though Carcasey was no pilot, he could tell that its approach was recklessly rapid, the craft's wings folding in at the last moment as it aimed for the yawning red-lit hatch. "Come on," he said, taking Mercedes' hand and leading the way up the steps to the observation gantry. The steps were steep and narrow, and Carcasey had to stop to get his breath back before he reached the top. By the time they reached the gantry, the Stormbird had already been recovered and its assault ramp was descending. A host of Astartes gathered around the craft as the bell of return began ringing and 4 warriors emerged, the plates of their armour dented and blood-stained. Between them, they carried a body, draped in a Legion banner. Carcasey's breath caught in his throat, and he felt his heart turn to stone at the sight. "Mournival," said Mercedes. "Oh no." The 4 warriors were quickly followed by an enormous gurney upon which lay a partially armoured warrior of magnificent stature. Even from here, Carcasey could tell that the figure upon the gurney was the War Master, and though tears leapt unbidden to his eyes at the sight of such a superlative warrior laid low, he rejoiced that the shrouded corpse was not the War Master. He heard Mercedes blink-clicking the images even though he knew there would be no point. Her eyes were similarly misted with tears. Behind the gurney came the Remembrancer woman Vivar, her dress torn and bloody, the fine fabric mud-stained and ragged. But Carcasey pushed her from his mind as he saw more warriors rush towards the gurney. Armoured in white plate, they surrounded the War Master as he was wheeled through the embarkation deck with great haste. and Carcase's heart leapt as he recognized them as Legion apothecaries. "He's still alive," he said. "What? How do you know?" "The apothecaries are still working on him," laughed Carcase, the relief tasting like the sweetest wine. They threw themselves into each other's arms, embracing with the sheer relief of the War Master's survival. "He's alive," sobbed Mercedes. "I knew he had to be. He couldn't be dead." "No," agreed Carcase. "He couldn't." They broke apart and sagged against the railings as the Astartes escorted the fallen War Master across the deck. As the huge blast doors rumbled open, the masses of people gathered outside surged through in a great wave, their cries of loss and pain audible even through the armoured glass of the observation gantry. "No," whispered Carcase. "No, no, no." The Astartes were in no mood to be slowed by this mass of people, and brutally clubbed them aside as they forced a path through the crowd. The Mournival led the gurney through the crowds, mercilessly clearing a bloody path through the people before them. Carcase saw men and women cast down, trampled underfoot, and their screams were pitiful to hear. Mercedes held his arm as they watched the Astartes bludgeon their way from the embarkation deck. They vanished through the blast door and were lost to sight as they rushed towards the medical deck. "Those poor people!" cried Mercedes, sinking to her knees and looking down on a scene like the aftermath of a battle. Wounded soldiers, remembrances, and civilians lay where they had fallen, bleeding and broken, simply because they were unlucky enough to be in the path of the Astartes. "Didn't care," said Carcase, still unable to believe the bloody scenes that he'd just witnessed. It killed those people. It was like they didn't care." Still in shock at the casual ease with which the Astartes had punched through the crowd, Carcase gripped the railings, his knuckles white and his jaw clenched with outrage. "How dare they?" he hissed. "How dare they?" His anger at the scenes below still seethed close to the surface. However, he noticed a robed figure making her way through the carnage below, reaching out to the injured and the stunned. His eyes narrowed, but he recognized the shapely form of Euphrates Keeler. She was handing out Laetitio Divinatus pamphlets, and she wasn't alone. Do another bow in.
Owen, I knew those words weren't right in that order. I wouldn't hold your breath. Sounds like he's still up shit creek. But yeah, Space Marines have just brutally slaughtered a load of Imperial citizens. Like, brutal, just, like, smashed them to pieces. Space Marines just fucked them up. Like, killed them all. Killed them. Not all of them, but most of them. Just for being in the way. Not even a warning of get out of the way. Just boom. Yeah, they don't fuck about. Mental, that, innit? Proper just fucked up a load of Imperial citizens as well. I have to take me dressing gown off. I'm quite warm. Might open a window actually. Might even go that far. Might even go as far to open. That'd be some.
air in here. Do you know what I mean? Hey, Jesky's fella, how you doing? Always makes me laugh, that part. Those people broken and twatted to pieces, and there's you handing out Jehovah's Witness pamphlets like, yeah, hello. She just like these people with like every bone in their body's broken, and she's just like, can I interest you in the good word of our Lord and Savior, the God Emperor of mankind? Just be like, you having a fucking laugh? Fucking hell. Fucking wild. Fucking wild. Fucking unbelievable. Not now, Keela. Not now, Euphrates. Jesus Christ. This is why nobody ever says yes. Fuck's sake. Oh my god. Oh my god. Fucking hell. Right. I can't stop laughing now at that bit. It's well funny. Must be seriousness. Malagurst watched the recording from the embarkation deck with a grim expression, watching his fellow sons of Horus batter their way through the crowds that swarmed around the War Master's racked body. The Pict replayed again on the viewer set into the table in the War Master's sanctum, and each time he watched it, he willed it to be different. But each time, the flickering images remained resolutely the same. How many dead? Asked Hector Vivarus, standing at Malagurst's shoulder. I don't have the final figures yet, but at least 21 are dead, and many more are badly injured, or won't wake up from the comas that they're in. He cursed Loken and the others for their heavy-handedness as the image played again. But supposed he couldn't blame them for their ardor. The War Master was in a critical condition, and no one knew if he would live. But their desperation to reach the medical decks was forgivable, even if many might say that their actions were not. A bad business, Malagurst, said Vivarus needlessly. Your Astartes will not come out of this well. Malagurst sighed and said, They thought the War Master was dying, and acted accordingly. Acted accordingly? Repeated Vivarus. I do not think many people will accept that, my friend. Once word of this gets out, it will be a crippling blow to morale. It will not get out, assured Malagurst. I am rounding up everyone who was on that deck, and have shut down all non-command Vox traffic from the ship. Tall and precise, Hector Vivarus was rake-thin and angular, and his every movement was calculated. Traits he carried over into his role as Lord Commander of the army forces of the 63rd Expedition. Trust me, Malagurst. This will get out. One way or another, it will get out. Nothing remains secret forever. Such things have a habit of wanting to be told, and this will be no different. Then what do you suggest, Lord Commander? Asked Malagurst. Are you genuinely asking me, Mal? Or are you just observing a courtesy because I am here? I was genuinely asking, said Malagurst, smiling as he realized that he meant it. Vivarus was a canny soldier who understood the hearts and minds of mortal men. You have to tell the people what happened. Be honest. Heads will need to roll, cautioned Malagurst. People will demand blood for this. Then give it to them. If that's what it takes, give it to them.
Someone has to be seen to pay for this atrocity.
Atrocity? Is that what we're calling it now?
Well, what else would you call it? Astartes warriors have committed murder. The enormity of what Vivarus was suggesting staggered Malagurst, and he lowered himself slowly into one of the chairs at the War Master's table.
You would have me give up an Astartes warrior for this? I cannot do it.
Vivarus leaned over the table, the decorations and medals of his dress uniform reflecting like gold suns in its black surface. Innocent blood has been spilled, and while I can understand the reasons behind the actions of your men, it changes nothing.
I can't do it, Hector,
said Malagurst, shaking his head. Vivarus moved to stand next to him. You and I both swore the oath of loyalty to the Imperium, did we not?
We did. But what has that to do with anything?
The old general locked eyes with Malagurst and said, We swore that we would uphold the ideals of nobility and justice that the Imperium stands for, yes?
Yes. But this is different. There were extenuating circumstances.
Irrelevant, snapped Vivarus. The Imperium must stand for something or it stands for nothing. If you turn away from this, then you betray that oath of loyalty. And are you willing to do that, Malagurst? Before he could answer, there was a soft knocking on the glass of the sanctum, and Malagurst turned to see who disturbed them. Ingmay Singh, mistress of astropathy, stood before them like a skeletal ghost in a hooded white robe, the upper portions of her face shrouded in shadows. Mr. Singh, said Vivarus, bowing deeply towards the telepath. Lord Vivarus, she replied, her voice soft and feather-light. She returned the Lord Commander's bow, and despite her blindness, inclined her head in precisely the right direction. A talent that never failed to unnerve Malagurst.
What is it, Mr. Singh?
He asked, though in truth, he was glad of the interruption. I bring tidings that must concern you, Sire Malagurst, he said, turning a blind gaze upon him. The astropathic choirs are unsettled. They sense a powerful surge in the currents of the warp. Powerful and growing.
What does that mean?
He asked. That the veil between worlds grows thin, said Ingmay Singh. Hey, Nosser, how you doing? The end of chapter 9. Right, before I start chapter 10, because I'll do another chapter tonight. Let's debrief on chapter 9. While I eat my bao buns. So, what do you think? What do you think's going on? What do you think's happening? Tell me what you think. I've read it before, so I know. So I want to know what you think. Well, I'll stuff my face with a bao bao. So, Horus isn't dead. But he's dying. He's very close to death. He may yet still die. Space Marines have just murdered 20-odd human Imperial civilians with no warning. Just murdered them. Like, straight up just killed them because they were in the way. Granted,
there is a good well, I mean, there's a reason why they did it, because the War Master is dying. Like, do you know what I mean? But Space Marines, Astartes, have killed human civilians, human Imperial civilians. Never happened before.
Yeah. The astropath has just turned up.
And been like, yeah, there's a massive warp surge. Basically, the veil between the warp and reality is growing thin. Right where they are. So something's happening there. And then right at the beginning of the chapter, we met one of Horus's brothers that we've not met before. Magnus the Red. Do you remember what was happening at the beginning of the chapter? What he was talking to one of his Astartes about? He was talking to one of his Astartes, Ahriman. Do you remember what the conversation they were having was about? Because it was explaining to us a little bit about Magnus. Yeah, they were gonna cast a big boy spell and warn the Emperor about it. Even a spell they were afraid of, yeah. But he's also been told by the Emperor himself, by his dad, that he's expressly forbidden from using any sorcery and studying anything more to do with the warp. He's told his dad, the Emperor, has specifically told Magnus, I forbid you from continuing with your studies and using those powers. I forbid you from doing it. And he's just like, well. Basically. Well, it's not like you can't tell me what to do. He said the only way of warning him, of sending this warning to the Emperor, is by using a spell this powerful, because there's so many defenses and like wards around Terra, Earth, to protect it from the warp. So no message that Magnus could send his dad would ever get through unless he does this. And he's saying, well, once I use this spell to send a message to me dad and warn him about what I've seen is going to happen, then he'll see that, you know, my powers and my magic and my knowledge is useful. So that's his plan. And meanwhile, everything's going to shit over with Horus. Like, Horus is dying. Magnus is about to do a big spell to get in contact with his dad, even though he's been told not to. And the Space Marines, including Logan and the rest of the Mournival, have just killed a load of people. So there we go. So that's where we're up to right now, before we head into chapter 10. Do you know what's well funny? Right. So obviously Magnus is he's very, very skilled and powerful with, like, I guess you could call it sorcery or whatever. But he's also one of the biggest Primarchs.
Like, he's massive. Like, he's fucking huge. I think there's only Vulcan who's bigger than him.
This lemon squeezer?
Geezer, lemon squeezer. How you doing, Atwell? You alright, mate? It's all going to shit in this book. All going to shit. Yeah, Wash. This is where the story kicks into gear. Yeah, it does. Yeah, he's fucking massive. I think there's only one of the brothers that's bigger than him, I think. And that's Vulcan. Vulcan's fucking monstrously big. Vulcan, man. We've not met him yet though, but we will. Vulcan's a big boy. But Magnus is fucking huge. Like, he's way bigger than the rest of them, apart from Vulcan. To be fair, Magnus can change his size at will. Yeah, I know he can, but I mean, like, just generally, he's massive anyway, isn't he? Like, I'm sure he's, like, the second biggest Primarch. Like, just generally. I know he can change his size at will, but I'm pretty sure he's, like, generally, like, without doing that, he's, like, the second biggest one. I know Vulcan's the biggest. He's a fucking unit. Big lad. Absolute fridge. Vulcan's a fucking fridge, man. He's massive. Yeah, right, well, I'm good, man. Right, should we continue? Should we continue and see what's going on? See what's going on? Fucking hell. Right.
Chapter 10. Apothecarian. Prayers. Confession. Stripped out of his armour and wearing bloody surgical robes, Vadon was as close to desperate as he had ever been in his long experience as an apothecary of the Sons of Horus. The War Master lay before him on the gurney, his flesh exposed to his knives and to the probes of the Medicae machines. Oxygen was fed to the War Master through a mask, and saline drips pumped fluids into his body in an attempt to normalize his blood pressure. Medicae servitors brought fresh blood for immediate transfusions, and the entire theatre fizzed with tension and frantic activity.
We're losing him!
Shouted Apothecary Logan, watching the heart monitors.
Blood pressure's dropping rapidly. His heart rate's spiking. He's going to arrest.
Damn it, cursed Vadon.
Get me more Laraman serum. His blood won't clot, and fix up another fluid line.
A whirring surgical narthecium swung down from the ceiling, multiple limbs clattering as they obeyed Vadon's shouted commands. Fresh Laraman cells were pumped directly into Horus's shoulder, and the bleeding slowed, though Vadon could see it still wasn't stopping completely. Thick needles jabbed into the War Master's arms, filling him with super-oxygenated blood. Their supply was dwindling faster than he would have believed possible.
Stabilizing, breathed Logan. Heart rate's slowing and his blood pressure is up. Good, said Vadon. We've got some breathing room then. You can't take much more of this, said Logan. We're running out of things we can do for him. I'll not hear that in my theatre, Logan, snapped Vadon. We're not going to lose him.
The War Master's chest hiked as he clung to life, his breathing coming in short, hyperventilating gasps, more blood pumping from the wound in his shoulder. Of the two wounds the War Master had suffered, it seemed the least severe, but Vadon knew it was the one that was killing him. The puncture wound in his chest had practically healed already, ultrasonograms showing that his lung had sealed itself off from the pulmonary system while it repaired itself. The War Master's secondary lungs were sustaining him from now. The Mournival hovered like expectant fathers as the apothecaries worked harder than they had ever worked before. Verdon had never expected to have the War Master for a patient. The Primarch's biology was as far beyond that of a normal Astartes warrior as his own was from a mortal man, and Verdon knew that he was out of his depth. Only the Emperor himself had the knowledge to delve into the body of a Primarch with confidence, and the enormity of what was occurring was not lost on him. A green light winked into life on the Narthesian machine as he lifted the data slate from the port in its silver steel surface. Numbers and text scrolled across its glossy surface, and though much of it made no sense to him, he felt his spirits fall as what he could comprehend sank in. Seeing that the War Master was stable, he circled the operating slab and joined the Mournival, wishing he had better news for them.
What's wrong with him?
Demanded Abaddon.
Why is he still lying there? Honestly, First Captain, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Shouted Abaddon, grabbing Verdon and slapping him against the theatre wall. Silver trays laden with scalpels, saws, and forceps clattered to the tiled floor. Why don't you know? Loken and Axeman grappled with the First Captain as Verdon felt Abaddon's enormous strength slowly crushing his neck.
Let go of him, Ezekiel, cried Loken. This isn't helping.
You won't let him die, snarled Abaddon.
And Verdon was amazed to see a terrible fear in the First Captain's eyes.
He is the War Master! You think I don't know that?
Gasps Verdon as the others prized Abaddon's grip from his neck. He slid down the wall, already able to feel the swelling in his bruised throat.
Emperor damn you if you let him die,
hissed Abaddon, stalking the theatre with predatory strides.
If he dies, I will kill you.
Axeman led the First Captain away from him, speaking soothing words as Loken and Torgadon helped him to his feet.
Man's a maniac,
hissed Verdon.
Get him out of my theatre now. He's not himself, Apothecary,
explained Loken.
None of us are. Just keep him away from my team, Captain,
warned Verdon.
He's not in control of himself, and that makes him dangerous.
We will,
Torgadon promised him.
Now, what can you tell us? Will he survive?
Verdon took a moment to compose himself before answering, picking up his fallen data slate.
As I said before, I just don't know. We're like children trying to repair a logic engine that's been dropped from orbit. We don't understand even a fraction of what his body is capable of or how it works. Can't even begin to guess what kind of damage it suffered to have caused this. What's actually happening to him?
Asked Loken.
The wound in his shoulder. It won't clot. It's bleeding out and we can't stop it. We found some degraded genetic residue in the wound that might be some kind of poison, but I can't be sure.
That's it be a bacteriological or viral infection?
Asked Torgadon.
Water on Davin's moon was thick with contaminants. I ought to know. Swallowed a flagon's worth of it.
No,
said Verdon.
War Master's body is, for all intents and purposes, immune to such things. And what is it? This is a guess. It looks like this particular poison induces a form of anemic hypoxia. Once it enters the bloodstream, it's absorbed exponentially by the red blood cells in preference to oxygen. With the War Master's accelerated metabolism, the toxin was carried efficiently around his system, damaging his tissue cells as it went, so they were unable to make proper use of the reduced oxygen content. Where did it come from?
Asked Loken.
Thought you said the War Master was immune to such things. And so he is. This is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's as though it's been specifically designed to kill him. It's got precisely the right genetic camouflage to fool his enhanced biological defenses and allow it to do the maximum amount of damage. It's a Primarch killer. Pure and simple. How do we stop it? This isn't an enemy you can take a bolter or sword to, Captain Loken. It's a poison, he said. If I knew the source of the poisoning, we might be able to do something. And if we found the weapon that did this, would that be of some help? Asked Loken.
Seeing the desperate need for hope in the captain's eyes, Vadon nodded.
Maybe. From the wound shape, it looks like a stab wound from a sword. If you can retrieve the blade, then maybe we can do something for him. I'll find it, swore Loken.
He turned from Vadon and made his way to the theatre door.
You're going back there?
Asked Targadin, running to catch up with him.
Yeah, and don't try to stop me, warned Loken.
Stop you,
said Targadin.
Don't be such a drama queen, Garvey. I'm coming with you.
Hey, Fake Bark, how you doing? Have you missed anything? Yeah. Yeah, Fake Bark. Yeah, you missed fucking loads of shit. Loads of shit. So Horus is dying, and they can't help him. When the Space Marines were bringing Horus's body back onto the flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, loads of like human and Imperial citizens got in the way, so they just fucking massacred them because they were in the way and they're trying to save the fucking Horus. So they killed 20 odd fucking humans, which has never happened before, a Space Marine killing Imperial citizens. They just went through them like a knife through butter. So that's not good. One of Horus's brothers, one of the other Primarchs, Magnus, has had a vision of something bad coming and needs to tell his dad, the Emperor, and warn him. But the Emperor's on Terra, so Magnus can't get a message to him without using sorcerous powers and using his knowledge of the warp, which the Emperor has told him specifically not to do. But Magnus is like, I have no choice. I have to warn my dad. And this is the only way I can warn him. So, yeah. Everything's gone to shit. Everything's gone to shit. Owen, your voice for Abaddon is phenomenal. Oh, cheers, man. That's just what I imagine he sounds like. I imagine that he sounds like he's got gravel in his fucking mouth all the time. That's what I always imagine him to sound like. Contrarian, me listening to False Gods for the fourth time, just such a good book. Amazing, amazing. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Fake Bag, you went to a thing for your kids at school. Oh, sick. What was it? Was it like a play or something? Oh, they wrote books to share with you. Amazing. That's sick. That's well sick. That's awesome. Fake Back, your Mysterious E-shirt arrived today. Amazing, 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 amazing. You have to stick a photo in the fucking in the merch catwalk on the Discord. I'm gassed. I'm gassed that that's arrived. That's sick. What the fuck with the civilian slaughter? For shame, Space Marines. It's a lot. Yeah, a lot. Like, there's a lot going on right now. Right, shall we continue?
We continue.
Recovering a Titan after action in the field, was a long and arduous process, full of technical, logistical, and manual difficulty. Entire fleets of vessels came down from orbit, bringing huge lifters, enormous diggers, and loading machines. The delivery vessels had to be dug from their impact craters, and an army of mechanicum servitors were required to facilitate the process. Titus Cassar was exhausted. He'd spent the better part of the day prepping the Titan for its recovery, and everything was in readiness for their return to the fleet. Until they were recovered, there wasn't much to do except wait, and that had become the hardest part of all for the men left behind on Davin's moon. With time to wait, there was time to think. And with time to think, the human mind could conjure all manner of things from the depths of its imagination. Titus still couldn't believe that Horus had fallen. Being of such power, like unto a Titan himself, was not meant to fall in battle. He was invincible, the son of a god. In the shadow of the Dies Irae, Titus fished out his Laetitio Divinatus chapbook and, once he was satisfied he was alone, began to read the words there. The badly printed scripture gave him comfort, turning his mind to the glory of the divine Emperor of mankind.
O Emperor, who is Lord and God above us all, hear me in this hour of need. Your servant lies with death's cold touch upon him, and I ask you to turn your beneficent gaze his way.
He fished out a pendant from beneath his uniform jacket as he read. It was a delicately wrought thing of silver and gold that he'd had one of the blank-faced servitors fashion for him. A silver capital I, with a golden starburst at its centre. It represented hope and the promise of a better future. He held it clasped to his breast as he recited more of the words of the Laetitio Divinatus. Feeling a familiar warmth suffuse him as he repeated the words. Titus sensed the presence of other people behind him a second too late, and turned to see Jonah Aruken and a group of the Titan's crew. Like him, they were dirty and tired after the fight against the monsters of this place. But unlike him, they did not have faith. Guiltily, he closed his chapbook and waited for Jonah's inevitable barb. No one said anything, and as he looked closer, he saw a brittle edge of sorrow and the need for comfort in the faces of the men before him. Titus, said Jonah Aruken, that is the War Master. We wondered if... Titus smiled in welcome, as understood what they had come for. He opened his chapbook again and said,
Let us pray, brothers.
The medical deck was a sterile, gleaming wilderness of tilted walls and brushed steel cabinets, a warren of soulless glass rooms and laboratories. Petronella had completely lost all sense of direction, bewildered by the hasty summons that had brought her from the moon's surface back to the vengeful spirit. Passing through the bloody embarkation deck, she saw that the upper levels of the ship were in pandemonium as the word of the War Master's death had spread from vessel to vessel with all the fearsome rapidity of an epidemic. Malagers the Twisted had issued a fleet-wide communique denying that the War Master was dead, but hysteria and paranoia had a firm head start on his words. Riots had taken hold aboard several ships as doomsayers and demagogues had arisen, proclaiming that these were now the end times. Army units had been ruthlessly quashing such malcontents, but more sprang up faster than they could stop them. It had been scant hours since the War Master's fall. The 63rd expedition was already beginning to tear itself apart without him. Maggard followed Petronella, his wounds bound and sealed with sin-skin by a Legion apothecary on the journey back to the War Master's flagship. His skin still had an unhealthy pallor, and his armour was dented and torn. He was alive, magnificent. Magard was only an indentured servant, but he had impressed her, and she resolved to treat him with the respect his talents deserved. A helmeted Astartes warrior led her through the confusing maze of the Medicae deck, eventually indicating that she should enter a nondescript white door marked with a winged staff wrapped in a pair of twisting serpents. Magard opened the door for her, and she entered a gleaming operating theatre, its circular walls covered to waist height in green enamelled tiles. Silver cabinets and hissing, pumping machines surrounded the War Master, who lay on the operating slab with a tangled web of tubes and wires attached to his flesh. A stool of gleaming metal sat next to the slab. Medicae servitors lurked around the circumference of the room, set into niches around the wall, and a gurgling machine suspended above the War Master fed fluid and blood into his body. Her eyes misted to see the War Master brought so low, and tears came at this violation of the natural order of things. A giant Astartes warrior in hooded surgical robes approached her and said,
My name is Apothecary Vadin, Miss Vavar.
She brushed her hands across her eyes, conscious of how she must look. Her dress torn and caked with mud, her eyes blackened with smudged makeup. She started to hold her hand out for a kiss, but realised how foolish that would be and simply nodded. I'm Petronella Vivar, he managed. I'm the War Master's documentarist.
I know,
said Vadon.
he asked for you by name.
Sudden hope flared in her breast. He's awake? Vadon nodded.
He is. If it was up to me, you would not be here now. But I do not disobey the word of the commander, and he desires to speak with you.
How is he? He asked. The apothecary shook his head.
He fades in and out of lucidity, so do not expect too much of him. If I decide it is time for you to leave, then you leave. You understand me?
Do, she said. Please, may I speak with him now? Vadon seemed reluctant to let her near the War Master, but moved aside and let her pass. She nodded her thanks and took a faltering step towards the operating slab, eager to see the War Master, but afraid of what she might find. Petronella's hand leapt to her mouth to stifle an involuntary gasp at the sight of him. The War Master's cheeks were sunken and hollow, his eyes dull and listless. Grey flesh hung from his skull, wrinkled and ancient-looking. His lips were the blue of a corpse.
Do I look that bad?
Asked Horus, his voice rasping and distant. No, she stammered. Not at all,
Don't lie to me, Miss Vivar. If you're here to hear my valediction, then there must be no deceit between us.
Valediction? No, I won't. You have to live.
Believe me, there's nothing I'd like more.
He wheezed.
But Vadon tells me there's not much chance of that. And I don't intend to leave this life without a proper legacy. A record that says the things that must be said before the end.
Sir, your deeds alone stand as an eternal legacy. Please, don't ask this of me. Horus coughed, a froth of blood onto his chest, gathering his strength before speaking once more, and his voice was the strong and powerful one she remembered.
You told me that it was your vocation to immortalize me, to record the glory of Horus for future generations, did you not?
I did, she sobbed.
Then do this last thing for me, Miss Vivar, he said.
She swallowed hard and then fished out the data slate and memo quill from her reticule before sitting on the high stool next to the operating slab. Very well, she said at last. Let's start at the beginning.
It was too much, began Horus. I promised my father I would make no mistakes. Now we have come to this.
Stakes? Asked Petronella, though she suspected she knew the War Master's meaning.
Temba. Giving him lordship over Davin, said Horus. He begged me not to leave him behind. Claimed it was too much for him. I should have listened, but I was too eager to be away on some fresh conquest.
Temba's weakness is not your fault, sir, he said.
It is good of you to say that, Miss Vivar. But I appointed him, said Horus. The responsibility lies with me. Throne. Gilliman will laugh when he hears of this, him and the Lion both. They will say that I was not fit to be War Master, since I could not read the hearts of men.
Never, cried Petronella. They wouldn't dare.
Oh, they will, girl. Believe me. We are brothers, yes. But like all brothers, we squabble and seek to outdo one another.
Petronella could think of nothing to say. The idea of the superhuman Primarch squabbling quite beyond her.
They were jealous, all of them,
continued Horus.
When the Emperor named me War Master, it was all some of them could do to congratulate me. Angron especially. He was a wild one. And even now I can barely keep him in check. Gilliman wasn't much better. I could tell he thought it should have been him.
They were jealous of you, asked Petronella, unable to believe what the War Master was telling her, the memo quill scratching across the data slate in response to her thoughts.
Oh, yes, nodded Horus bitterly. Only a few of my brothers were gracious enough to bow their heads and mean it. Lorgar, Mortarion, Sanguinius, Fulgrim and Dawn. They're true brothers. Remember watching the Emperor's Stormbird leaving Ulanor, weeping to see him go. Most of all, I remember the knives I felt in my back as he went. I could hear their thoughts as clearly as they spoke them aloud. Why should I, Horus, be named War Master when there were others more worthy of the honor?
You were made War Master because you were the most worthy, sir, said Petronella.
No,
said Horus.
I was not. I was simply the one who most embodied the Emperor's need at that time. You see, for the first 3 decades of the Great Crusade, I fought alongside the Emperor, and I alone felt the full weight of his ambition to rule the galaxy. He passed that vision to me, and I carried it with me in my heart as we forged our path across the stars. Grand adventure we were on. System after system reunited with a master of mankind. You cannot imagine what it was like to live in such times, Miss Vivar.
Sounds magnificent,
It was.
said Horus.
It was. But it couldn't last. Soon we were being drawn to other worlds where we discovered my brother Primarchs. We had been scattered throughout the galaxy not long after our birth. One by one, the Emperor recovered us all.
Must have been strange to be reunited with brothers you had never known.
Not as strange as you might think. As soon as I met each one, I had an immediate kinship with him, a bond that not even time nor distance had broken. I won't deny, some were harder to like than others. If you ever meet Nighthaunter, you'll understand exactly what I mean. Moody bastard. Handy in a tight spot when you need some alien empire shitting in its breeches before you attack. Angron's not much better, mind. Got a temper on him like you've never seen. You think you know anger. I tell you now, you don't know anything until you've seen Angron lose his temper. Don't get me started on the lion.
Of the Dark Angels? His is the first legion, is it not?
It is,
replied Horus.
And doesn't he just love to remind everyone of that? You could see it in his eyes that he thought he should have been War Master, because his legion was first. Did you know he'd grown up living like an animal in the wilds? Little better than a feral savage. I ask you, is that the sort of man you want as your War Master? No. No, it's not,
said Horus, answering his own question. Then who would you have picked to be War Master if not you? Asked Petronella. Horus appeared to be momentarily perturbed by a question, but said,
Sanguinius. Should have been him. He has the vision and the strength to carry us to victory, and the wisdom to rule once that victory is won. For all his aloof coolness, he alone has the Emperor's soul in his blood. Each of us carries part of our father within us, whether it's his hunger for battle, his psychic talent, or his determination to succeed. Sanguinius holds it all. Should have been his.
What part of the Emperor do you carry, sir?
Me? I carry his ambition to rule. While the conquest of the galaxy lay before us, that was enough. But now we're nearing the end. There's a Cretan proverb that says a peace is always over there. But that is no longer true. Peace is within our grasp. The job is almost done, and what is left for a man of ambition when the work is over?
You are the Emperor's right hand, sir, protested Petronella. His favoured son.
No more,
said Horus sadly.
Petty functionaries and administrators have supplanted me. The War Council is no more, and I receive my orders from the Council of Terra now. Once everything in the Imperium was geared for war and conquest, but now we are burdened with executors, scribes, and scriveners who demand to know the cost of everything. The Imperium is changing. I'm not sure I know how to change with it.
In what way is the Imperium changing?
Bureaucracy and officialdom are taking over, Miss Vivar. Red tape, administrators and clerks are replacing the heroes of the age, and unless we change our ways and our direction, our greatness as an empire will soon be a footnote in the history books. Everything I have achieved will be a distant memory. Distant memory of former glory lost in the mists of time and the civilizations of ancient terror. Remembered kindly for that noble past.
But surely the Crusade was but the first step towards creating a new Imperium for mankind to rule the galaxy. In such a galaxy, we will need administrators, laws, and scribes.
What of the warriors who conquered it for you?
Snarled Horus.
What becomes of us? Are we to become jailers, peacekeepers? We were bred for war, and we were bred to kill. That is what we were created for. But we have become so much more than that. I am more than that.
Progress is hard, my lord, and people must always adapt to changing times, said Petronella, uneasy at this change of temper in the War Master.
It is not strange to make mistake change for progress, Miss Vivar,
said Horus.
I was bred with wondrous powers encoded into my very flesh, but I did not dream myself into the man I am today. I hammered and forged myself upon the anvil of battle and conquest. All that I have achieved in the last 2 centuries will be given away to weak men and women who were not here to shed their blood with us in the dark places of the galaxy. Where is the justice in that? Lesser men will rule what I have conquered, but what will be my reward once the fighting is done?
Petronella glanced away at Apothecary Vadon. He simply watched impassively as she took down Horus's words. She wondered briefly if he was as upset as she was at the War Master's anger. As shocked as she was, her ambitious core realized that she had the makings of the most sensational remembrance imaginable. One that would dispel forever the myth of a crusade as a united band of brothers, forging their destiny amongst the stars. Horus's words painted a picture of mistrust and disunion that no one had ever dreamed of. Seeing her expression, Horus reached up with a shaking hand and touched her arm.
I am sorry, Miss Vivar. My thoughts are not as clear as they ought to be.
No, she said. I think they're clearer than ever now.
I can tell I'm shocking you. I am sorry if I've shattered your illusions.
I admit I am surprised by much of what you're saying, sir.
If you like it, yes. What you came here for.
She tried to deny it, but the sight of the dying Primarch gave her pause, and she nodded. Yes, she said. What I came here for. Will you tell me everything? He looked up and met her stare.
Yes,
he said.
I will.
Boom. There we are. Oh. So. So. What are you thinking? We'll leave it there for tonight because that's 2 chapters boshed off.
But what are you guys thinking? What do you think of what's just happened? Of everything that he's just said as well? Oh, Wash found a size chart of the Primarchs, and apparently Ferrus Manus is just as tall as Magnus. Well, I always thought he was like about a head shorter. So Ferrus Manus is a big lad as well then. Hey, Helly, how you doing? Oh, yours has arrived as well. Amazing. Amazing. How you doing, Helly? Yeah, give us pictures. We want pictures in the merch catwalk channel in the Discord. I want to do a big post of you all on my socials. Just say thank you.
Say thank you for picking up my t-shirts. I very much love it.
Oh my god, my knee's hurting so bad. Nominate this man for an Oscar. Fate back. Gotta go get your kids off the bus. You thinking you can't wait for next week? Sick. Oh, no worries. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Fate back. Owen, this is mental. Eggy, Horus is spitting facts about humanity's success being given to weak men who haven't done anything to earn it. The glory of the grafters and heroes given to admin people and red tape wankers. Well, yeah. Not wrong, is he? Because if you remember from the, I think it was the first book. I think it was the first book where it's like he'd only just like brought a planet into compliance. You know, like brought them into the fucking. They'd had a battle as well. Like they had to like conquer the planet, but they did and brought them into the Imperium. And immediately, the Council of Terror was sending envoys to Horus saying, "Yeah, we need taxes. We need Imperial tithes from this planet that you've just conquered." And he's just like, "We've just blown up half the planet, getting them to comply, and now we're trying to rebuild the planet for them. No, you can't. You can't put a fucking levy on them." Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like he's right. Oh, I'm good, Helly. I'm grand. Just buzzing off this book. It's so good. It's my second time reading it. It's so good. Contrarian, I think we should let Conrad lead humanity. Oh, we'll get to Conrad. Fucking hell. He got mentioned by Horus in his little deathbed monologue there. Fucking Conrad. That if you need a world to be terrorized into shitting their britches before you would even attack, like you just send Conrad. Like that's what he's good at. So yeah, so Horus is basically telling Petronella his entire life story before he dies, just so there's some record of it. Conrad is a very sweet boy and has done nothing wrong, and he's just a good boy. Well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it, my friend? Horus platinumed life, mate. So yeah, so there's a load of shit going on now. Lots of stuff going on. So he's got Ave Dominus Nox in Midnight Clad. Yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment. Because obviously the big thing that's going on is Horus is dying. The big thing that's happening is Horus is dying. And while that's happening, you've also got what seems to be a religious movement rapidly expanding within the Imperium, or at least on that fucking ship. But where that's come from, we don't know. We don't know yet. So that's the thing that's happening. Bearing in mind that all religion is completely outlawed as per the Emperor himself. And they're all worshipping him like a god. They're all like, he's the God Emperor. So that's happening as well. Then you've got Horus's brother Magnus, who's basically completely going against the Emperor's specific orders not to use any fucking sorcery or like warp-based abilities. He said, stop it. Do not do it at all. But he's like, well, I've just had a vision and I need to tell my dad and warn him. And the only way I can warn him is by casting a big old spell and doing exactly what he told me not to. But I need to warn him, because if I don't warn him, do you know what I mean? Something bad will happen. So that's happening as well. And then also, Loken and the rest of the Mournival basically killed a load of Imperial citizens. Killed a load of Imperial citizens, innocent Imperial citizens, because they were in the way when they were trying to get Horus to the medical deck. So obviously that's real bad, because that's never happened before. Astartes killing Imperial citizens. Space Marines killing Imperial citizens. So, yeah. Real bad. Oh, yeah, and then the last thing is, while all this is going on, Ingmei Singh, the mistress of the astropaths, which are basically like astropaths, basically like psychic. They're like humans with psychic abilities, so they're in tune with the warp, basically. And what they can do is they can communicate through the warp, and they can also, what they're used for is like navigating ships through the warp. So when they're traveling through space, what they'll do is to cover vast stretches of space. So say if they're on one side of the galaxy and they want to get to the other side of the galaxy, what they'll do is they'll enter the warp. It's like unreality, basically. And travel through that with the aid of an astropath that's guiding them. And then they'll come out of the warp on where they want to be, basically. Essentially, hopefully. Hopefully that's where they'll come. Like, they'll come out. But, yeah. So she's turned up and been like, there's a ridiculous amount of warp activity going on right here, right now. Like, the veil in that between reality and the warp is growing very, very thin right now. Right here. So that's also happening as well. So, oh, and Loken's buggering off back to fucking the moon. That moon where Horus got stabbed with Torgadon to go and find that blade that stabbed him. He thinks that might help. So there's loads of shit going on. Loads. There's loads and loads and loads of stuff going on. All at the same time. And also, Erebus is knocking around somewhere. Because he's been shifty the whole fucking time. We'll have to see, won't we? We'll have to see. But so out of all those right, just before I go, I'll stick around for another 10 minutes. Just before I go, out of all of those story threads, like, what do you think's the most interesting? Obviously, for the people who don't know what happened, remember, we're staying spoiler free. I want to know what you're thinking. Because there is so much happening. It's such a good story. But, like what Horus said, when she said, who do you think should have been? Who do you think should have been War Master? Like, Sanguinius. Should have been Sanguinius. Because he has the, like, we all have different parts of the Emperor's. We all have different aspects of the Emperor's power. But Sanguinius is the only one of us that has his soul. He's the best of all of us. Should have been him. I love Sanguinius so much. Owen, I'm starting to feel I misjudged Abaddon, I'm not gonna lie. Still don't trust him. But at the same time, his reaction to all of this is not that of a man who is in on it. Yeah. I know. He loves Horus. He loves Horus. Like, they all do. They all love him. Everyone loves Horus. Except maybe the lion. Except maybe his brother. Except maybe his brother, the lion. The lion probably doesn't. The lion, the grumpiest fucking bastard. Eggy, or, hear me out, he could be faking his love for Horus. You think? Seems pretty genuine to me. Like, they all, like, idolize him, don't they? Like, worship him. Like, Owen, I feel like maybe I owe him an apology. Not happening. No, sir. Erebus is the bastard. Bastard. Oh, well. He's about. Don't you worry about that. Erebus is definitely about. Like, funny though, isn't it? Where's he been since fucking all this shit happened with Horus? Where's he been? Where is he? Everybody else is losing their mind because the guy who's in charge of everything, basically, because the Emperor's not here, has been gravely wounded and is dying. Where's he gone? Why is he not about? He was like, oh, you need to go to this moon. This guy called you a knobhead, basically. This guy said that you're a knobhead and your dad's a knobhead.
That is basically what he did, though, isn't it? He went. There's this guy on this. One of your mates, yeah? One of your mates on this moon, yeah? Said that you're a knobhead and your dad's a knobhead. So, just saying. I didn't say it. He said it about you and your dad. Basically, didn't he? That is basically what he did. This guy's been calling your dad names. And Horus is like, I'm gonna go knock him out then. High school shit, mate. That's basically what it is. And he got stabbed with a poo knife. Got jabbed with a poo knife, didn't he? Oh, yeah. He did get jabbed with a poo knife. All over. Oh, we're slap bang halfway through this book. Slap bang halfway through. Nice. I feel like we're getting through this one faster than... Right, guys, I am going to bounce. I'll be on tomorrow, 6:30, for Paul Queechy and the gang. But I'm going to bounce. I'll speak to you all in the Discord. But I hope you're enjoying this book as much as I'm enjoying reading it. Fucking great. Such a great book. I know. Paul Queechy and his known penis. No longer mysterious. So devastating. But he banged a devil though, so that was pretty cool. That was a cool time for Paul. Pretty glad for him. Pretty made up for him. You know what I mean? Not got the same ring to it. The known penis. Not mysterious, it's a penis you know. The familiar penis. Paul Queechy and your familiar penis. Fucking hell. Christ. I tried to hide it with Eagle, but it just wasn't working, was it? It just wasn't for sale. It's sold out. Right, guys, I am gonna love you and leave you. I'll speak to you in the Discord though. But yeah, I'll be on tomorrow. Helly, watching you chase it with the Steagle was hilarious. I was panicking. I was like, I don't know where it's going to pop up. Where he's going to raise his ugly fucking little manatee penis next. I didn't know what to do. I was like, ha. Well, he's got his fucking dusty dangler in my fucking face. He's fucking Cyril Snare winking at me. What about that? Oh, God. Fucking didn't need that in my life. I didn't need that in my life. I never wanted to see it. Not like Paul Queechy. Not like, ooh, Paul, put your penis away. I'm not about that. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't mean like that. I just mean like, I just didn't want to shatter the illusion. And then he went to hell, banged a demon, flopped his wiener out on the screen, and the rest, as they say, is history. Now we know of his sorcerous penis. His familiar penis. Devastated. I was devastated. I was like, I never want to play this game again. The whole point of the game now is just... it's just ruined for me. Now that I know what it looks like. Because I was going to do penis reveal at the end. You know what I mean? But no, Paul revealed his own penis, didn't he? Didn't even let me do the penis reveal, could you, Paul? Hey, just had to have it all for yourself, didn't you? Couldn't even let me plan Paul's penis reveal. The familiar-y. It's the penis you know. Not a stranger's penis. It's a familiar penis. Fucking hell. We're never going to see his penis again. Not going to allow it. It's going to be there. Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal. It's not Steven Seagal. Oh no, I don't want to put Steven Seagal in front of it. Oh god. Sat in his chair. Fucking hell. Right, I'm going to go. I'm going to bounce. I'll love you and leave you. I'll speak to you all in the Discord. I will be on tomorrow at 6:30. I'll be on tomorrow at 6:30 for Paul Penis. Paul Penis?
I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say Paul Queechy. A penis in my brain.
All's just filled with 1,000 bald grey penises. No, Paul. Get your penis out of my mind. Mind fucking me now. Paul Penis. Paul Penis. My name's Paul Penis. Paul Penis and his familiar Queechy. Oh my god. Right. I'm losing my mind, so I'm gonna go. Right, love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me today. As always, you guys are absolutely amazing. I love you all. Thank you so much for all the support that you give me. You guys are the best. I'll speak to you in the Discord. I'll see you tomorrow at 6:30. So until then, peace and fucking love. Mwah. Good night.